Chrisley Knows best stars Todd and Julie. Chrisley's life has been a roller coaster, and it looks like the rest of their lives will be spent in prison. They were found guilty on Tuesday, June 7, on all counts. As per reports, they might face up to 30 years of prison time. However, no date for the couple's sentencing is out yet. As per In Touch Weekly, Todd Chrisley was convicted of conspiring to commit bank fraud. He was also accused of conspiring to defraud the U.S. along with tax fraud and bank fraud. Similar charges were also placed on his wife, Julie Chrisley, along with wire fraud. The couple was released on their existing bond, however, under multiple conditions. According to the court paperwork, Todd and Julie were decreed to partake in the location monitoring program. This would be used by the officials to monitor them while they are in the community. The reality stars also have to partake in the home detention program. Moreover, they also need to abide by the program's requirements. These mandates include regular use of electronic monitoring equipment. Along with that, the couple needs to allow monitoring via other location verification systems. Both Todd and Julie are to follow stringent home detention rules. The only exception they have is when they leave the house for education, employment, or religious services. These exceptions also include other important aspects, including mental or medical health treatment, court appearances, or attorney visits. More so, they can leave the home for court-ordered obligations. Further, the couple should, without fail, report to their probation officer if ever they spend anything more than $1,000. Todd and Julie were accused of procuring $30 million in fraudulent bank loans. As per reports, this was a move to fund their luxurious lifestyle. The couple's obvious spending was confirmed later on the USA Network's Chrisley Knows Best. After their luxurious spending was confirmed, prosecutors claimed that the reality stars evaded taxes. The couple was accused of failing to pay taxes for 9 years from 2008 to 2016. The Chrisleys were accused of federal tax evasion in 2019 in Atlanta. However, they maintained their innocence in the matter, claiming that their finances were being controlled by someone else. Later, the couple was tried on 5 counts of bank fraud, 1 count of conspiring to defraud the United States, 1 count of conspiring to commit bank fraud, and 1 count of tax fraud. Additionally, Julie was tried on 1 count of wire fraud along with 1 count of obstruction of justice. Furthermore, she was also accused of creating false bank statements and credit reports to rent a house. After the verdict, the couple was placed under house arrest. Luckily, their sons have been helping out the couple ever since. Todd and Julie's eldest son, Chase, recently dropped off some groceries to his parents. Their youngest son, Grayson, has also been quite helpful. He was spotted giving their car a quick wash right outside the house. What are your thoughts on the new living situation and their kids chipping in? Let us know in the comments below and watch Chrisley Knows Best Thursday nights. Todd and Julie Chrisley's new lives, detention and probation officers. In a story that has captivated reality TV fans and sparked debates about justice, redemption, and second chances, Todd and Julie Chrisley, once the stars of the hit show Chrisley Knows Best, have embarked on a drastically different journey than their glamorous life on television. Their reality has transformed from wealth, luxury, and fame to a more grounded, and in many ways humbling, existence in the criminal justice system. With both serving time for tax evasion and fraud, the question on everyone's mind is how do 2 former TV stars adjust to life under the watchful eye of probation officers and detention centers? The Chrisley family saga. From reality TV to real-life drama, Todd and Julie Chrisley became household names in 2014 when their reality show Chrisley Knows Best premiered on USA Network. The show, a lighthearted portrayal of their extravagant lives, showcased Todd as the outspoken patriarch and Julie as the supportive, often sarcastic mother of their family. Their blended family, which includes Todd's children from a previous marriage and his children with Julie, became the subject of endless fascination for audiences who were charmed by their Southern personalities, lavish lifestyles, and often hilarious interactions. Behind the scenes, however, Todd and Julie's wealth and lifestyle weren't as clear-cut as they appeared on TV. In June 2019, after a years-long investigation, they were indicted on charges of tax evasion, bank fraud, and conspiracy. Federal prosecutors alleged that they hid their true wealth and submitted false documents to secure millions of dollars in loans. By 2022, the Chrisleys had been convicted, and Todd was sentenced to 12 years in prison, while Julie received 7 years. Have seemed like a storybook on the surface. The couple's fall from grace served as a stark reminder that no one, no matter how popular or successful, is immune to the consequences of breaking the law. The prison experience. Adjusting to detention centers for most people. The thought of serving time behind bars is enough to strike fear into their hearts. And yet, for Todd and Julie Chrisley, it marked a major shift in their lives, a life that had been spent under the constant scrutiny of cameras and public attention. Their sentencing was a moment of intense reflection, one that would force them to consider their choices, their past, and their future. Todd was sent to the federal prison camp in Pensacola, Florida, while Julie was assigned to a prison in Kentucky. The transition from celebrity life to federal detention was undoubtedly jarring, especially since they had spent years enjoying the comforts and privileges of wealth. Life in prison was starkly different from the plush homes, designer wardrobes, and five-star vacations they had once known. For Todd, the adjustment was especially difficult. He was used to being the loud, commanding figure in a room, always in control. But in prison, authority and autonomy were taken from him. Inmates in federal camps often engage in menial tasks, including cleaning, kitchen duties, or even maintenance, and they are expected to adhere to strict schedules. Todd's natural inclination to be a big fish in any pond had to be curbed, and his transition involved learning to follow rules and live a much more regimented existence than he had ever known. Julie, on the other hand, had always presented herself as a nurturing, loving mother and a supportive wife, often playing the role of mediator in her family dynamic. However, her time in prison required her to adapt in unexpected ways. While women's facilities can be slightly different than men's in terms of daily life, the reality of losing her freedom and the structured life she once enjoyed had to be incredibly difficult. Being separated from her family, especially her children, was no doubt one of the most emotionally taxing aspects of her sentence. Despite the challenges, both Todd and Julie have remained committed to maintaining a sense of optimism and faith. They've communicated openly with their fans and supporters, often speaking about their faith in God and their desire for personal growth. Through letters and social media posts, they consistently talked about the transformative experience of their time in detention, the role of probation officers, a new kind of authority. As Todd and Julie Chrisley's time in prison progressed, the couple began thinking about the next chapter of their lives, life after incarceration. The concept of probation was looming large, especially given the fact that the Chrisleys had already served time behind bars and were now preparing to face a different set of restrictions. As part of their sentences, both were required to undergo supervised release after serving their time. The role of a probation officer is critical in this phase. Probation officers are tasked with overseeing individuals who have been released from prison but still must comply with a set of conditions. These conditions are designed to ensure that the individual does not reoffend and successfully reintegrates into society. For high-profile figures like Todd and Julie, the challenge becomes even more complicated as the public eye is trained on them, and any misstep could lead to public scrutiny or further legal action. For Todd and Julie, the probationary period involves a strict set of conditions, including regular check-ins with their assigned officers, mandatory drug testing, restrictions on travel, and the requirement to maintain employment. These conditions might seem ordinary, but given their past and public stature, they add a level of complexity to an already difficult situation. Probation officers will likely monitor their every move. For Todd, this might mean re-evaluating his business ventures and making sure that any financial activities are transparent and legal. For Julie, it could involve a reflection on her role as a public figure, managing her brand, and any future career endeavors in a way that complies with her probation terms. In many ways, their probation officers will serve as a mirror to their previous lives. If the Chrisleys continue to resist the temptation to fall back into old habits, they will not only have to answer to their probation officers, but also to the very public that once adored them. Their probation officers will be tasked with ensuring that they remain compliant, a difficult task for someone who once lived in the spotlight and enjoyed the luxury of bending rules to their advantage life beyond the spotlight. A fresh start or a false hope in interviews and public statements, Todd and Julie have expressed their hope that their time in prison will allow them to grow spiritually and